So if you've ever considered a job in the insurance industry, there are a lot of different avenues that you could take, and I wanted to kind of discuss some of those with you guys today.
You in the past, I'm in the future. You mad?
Thank you all so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Kela Trishaan, and I make videos on lifestyle, womanhood, mental health, and I throw in some vlogs here and there. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back, and thank you for your support. So as I was saying in the beginning, there are a lot of different positions in the insurance industry if you are thinking about a job in the insurance industry or if you've ever considered it. I can say that working in insurance, you are an essential worker. So with everything that's going on in the world, this is one of those kind of foolproof jobs, so far as I know. And there are a lot of different roles that you can play. So some of them are customer facing, some of them are not. Some of them you have more responsibility, some of them maybe not as much, but it just kind of all depends on what interests you. So if you want to hear about some of those positions, go on ahead and stay tuned. Okay, so for the purposes of this video, I'm going to concentrate on the auto insurance industry and on the homeowners insurance industry because those are the industries that I have experience in. So the most common position that you're going to have at an insurance company, and typically where people start, usually entry level or like right out of college, is going to be your frontline adjuster. So the frontline adjuster is the person that you typically will first talk to when you call the insurance company to report a loss, whether it be homeowners or whether it be auto. So that frontline adjuster is going to typically collect all of the pertinent information. They're going to get the date everything happened. They're going to get the time approximately. They're going to find out what vendors the customer already has involved. They're going to decide what departments at the insurance company need to get involved to complete the investigation. They're going to figure out what reports need to be ordered, this, that, and the third. So this position really is where you're going to learn the most. And this is where you kind of learn claims handling. So this is where you're going to learn how all those moving pieces work. You're going to learn how to talk to attorneys. You're going to learn how to read the policies. You're going to learn what, policy you should apply to this situation, this, that, and the third. It's going to be a lot of information that you learn in this type of role. And typically for anybody that's wanting to start a job in insurance, this is going to be where you start. So before I forget, I also wanted to say most adjuster positions, frontline adjuster positions, are actually in-house. Meaning like you actually go into an office and it's like an 8 to 5 type thing, 8 to 5, 9 to 5. Right now with the pandemic, a lot of those jobs have been moved to a home base, but a lot of them are going to probably get back to the office setting once the pandemic subsides. Okay, so the next role in the insurance industry would be a field appraiser position. Again, they have this role for auto and they have this role for homeowners. So I personally have experience in the homeowner's role. The homeowner field appraiser works from home, but you have to go on inspections into people's homes. So when the frontline adjuster gets the assignment and they assign it out to have somebody actually go physically look at the damage, a field appraiser will actually go into the home, meet the customer face to face, and look at the damage and determine if it's covered based on the policy. Now, similar to this position is the field auto appraiser position. That appraiser also works from home. They get a certain amount of assignments and they have to go into a body shop to look at damage, or if the vehicle is at the person's home, you go to the person's home, but they would go write an estimate based on the vehicle as opposed to the home. So that position has a little more freedom as far as you not being tied to a desk all day, but you are in a car most days. It kind of just depends on what your preference is, but there are going to be some days where you will be home, like if assignments are slow or if you just simply have a desk day. But most days you're going to be in the field actually physically writing estimates and assessing damage. So one thing I did want to say about the field appraiser roles is that you are by yourself most of the day. So it's not like in the office where you have your coworkers or you can just kind of go and ask your manager if you have a question or like that. It's not like that. You are by yourself. So you do have a team still. You do still have your manager, but it is a situation where you would have to physically reach out to them if you need assistance. If they're not available right then and there, then You know, you might just kind of be on your own for a little bit, but if you're comfortable working in that type of environment, then it might be for you. I know for me, it was good because I had some flexibility. I was able to take extended lunches if I needed to. Like if I needed a doctor's appointment, instead of me having to take the full day off, I could either clock in earlier and just go to like a later appointment, or I could take an extended lunch and get my appointment over with in the middle of the day, come back, get to work. So just kind of depends on how you want to work, but those positions I feel are good because you do have freedom to work from home and you do save that commute. Okay, so the next type of role, and this is kind of specific to the auto insurance industry, is a casualty/bodily injury adjuster. Now, they're called different things at different companies, but that's kind of like the general term. And typically this adjuster just works with people that have been injured. So you're working with customers, you're working with attorneys, you're working with hospitals or I would say medical offices, and you're reviewing bills, you're determining how much someone should get for an injury, you're determining the validity of the injury, stuff like that. The thing with this position though is that you're not only dealing with just regular injuries, you could sometimes deal with fatalities. And I mean, we all know that there is no age limit on, you know, fatalities. So that type of position can be a little tricky, especially if those things get to you or if you're sensitive to that. So you would just kind of have to decide if that's something that you want to deal with, but it is heavy on talking to attorneys. And what I've heard from people in the industry is that it can be hard to put a dollar amount on someone's injury. It's one thing if you're dealing with just, you know, like a whiplash injury or what they call soft tissue, so just like a muscle issue or something, as opposed to dealing with someone that may have lost a limb or may have like permanent paralysis or something like that. It's hard to put a price on that. So you really do have to have the right type of mindset to do that job. And if it's something that you're sensitive to or something that you don't feel like you could do day in and day out, it may not be the best role for you. Those roles can be either in office or can be filled as well, because sometimes you do have to go out to the scene of where the loss is. Sometimes you go and interview customers, you go and see them in person. So it just really kind of depends on the insurance company and what they expect from each role, but those can go either or. You can either work from home or you can be in the office in like a cubicle type setting. Okay, so the next role that I wanted to discuss in the insurance industry is an SIU rep or SIU adjuster. This is actually a role that I am interested in when I choose to move up, but an SIU representative basically will investigate potential fraud. So SIU stands for Special Investigations Unit. So typically what will happen is somebody will suspect fraud on a claim or think that the information that the person is giving them is inconsistent with what may have actually happened. So they will send a referral to an SIU rep to investigate. Now, the one thing about the SIU role is that you are able to not work directly with the customer. You're more or less working with your coworkers. You do have contact with the customers and with attorneys and medical offices, whatever the case may be, but more on like an interview type level. So you may go out to interview the company to have them tell you in person what happened or do a recorded statement with them, something like that. But you're really just taking that information back to your coworkers and letting them know, hey, I don't see anything suspicious, or hey, this is suspicious, don't pay the claim, that kind of thing. So the good thing about that role is I feel like it's kind of fun just in the times when I've sat in on different SIU presentations, like when they go through the different things that they have to collect, the different information that they collect and how they collect it. For me, it sounds similar to like a lot of the crime shows and stuff, which I'm super interested in. And again, for me, it's not customer facing really, so that's appealing. You're not having somebody call you asking you for payment or asking you for updates really. You're just collecting the information for your coworker and then you move on to the next file. So it is a lot of pulling reports. It's a lot of writing in some cases because you're having to actually put together your findings and you're actually having to make recommendations. One thing about that role, you can either work inside the office or outside of the office. Typically what I've seen is that the newer SIU reps will do more of an inside role where they're kind of learning how to pull different reports and learning how to complete investigations. And then the more seasoned SIU reps are the ones that go out into the field. So they actually go out and do the interviews and talk to the suspects per se to find out if there are any red flags in person. So yeah, if you are Inspector Gadget or you're somebody who likes to do that type of investigating, then maybe you might want to look into an SIU role. Okay, so the last position that I wanted to discuss in the insurance industry, and to be honest, this one is probably the most attractive to me, where I would eventually want to end up, is underwriting. Now, underwriting is kind of one of, I think, those low-key roles in insurance, because you are kind of like, you work in an office with your coworkers, but you're not really customer facing at all. So the way this role typically works is you have the insurance agent that like does the sales. So usually they are gonna sell the insurance and get the potential policy, but the underwriting rep is going to actually look at the policy to determine, okay, is the premium that we're charging correct for this person for where they live? Is this person even insurable? Like, do they have a significant number of accidents, or do they have a significant number of homeowner claims, things like that? So the underwriting person is kind of determining the insurability of the person. So in this role, you have the same thing. You do have a lot of paperwork, and you have a lot of checks and balances, I would say, because you're actually looking at each individual potential policy to see if it would make sense to insure this person, or determine if maybe they need to be insured at a higher rate because they're more of a risk, that kind of thing. This role, I don't really know of any underwriting positions that are filled. Let me not say that. There are underwriting field positions, because when you're first getting insured, they typically will send somebody out to just like confirm what you're saying. So like if you say that you have, I don't know, if you're insuring a car and you say you have 20-inch rims or whatever, they may send somebody out to confirm that you have that. But the majority of underwriting positions I know are on the inside of the office. So you will be like in a cubicle type setting, and the appeal to me on that type of role is that you are not really having to sit there and talk to customers. You're more just getting your assignments, and you are determining if someone is insurable and then moving on. And if they're not insurable, it's not really you delivering the news, it's another employee. So if you don't want to work with the public and you just kind of want to work with your coworkers, you want to just get your job, do it, and be done, this might be a position for you. So yeah, that's my take on underwriting. Okay, you guys, so that is all I have for you today. Even though I only talked about 5 different roles in the insurance industry, there are so many different positions that you can do. There are brokerage companies that you can work for if you don't want to work for like a regular insurance company. There are just so many different things that you can do, and honestly, I barely scratched the surface. Those are just the most common ones from my experience. And really, if you're interested in an insurance position, probably the best place to start is as an adjuster, just so you can get that frontline experience and just understand how claims work, because it's not really an easy position until you know what you're doing. Once you know what you're doing, it is way easier to move up into other roles. So if you want to hear more, let me know. If you have any specific questions, go on ahead and ask me in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please go on ahead and give me a big fat thumbs up. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you have not already subscribed, please go on ahead and click that subscribe button below, and be sure to turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. With that being said, you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.
You in the past, I'm in the future. You mad, they don't salute you.